let's move on to Scene Stealers.
And this week, brought to you from the film Tenet, we had a lot of amazing performances in here. And for me, if I can just say on my end, I know we haven't come to a show where we had the same person, so I hope that this is the same here. But even if we do have the same person, I don't think we're going to have it for the same reason. So for me, I'm going to go with Mr. John David Washington. The reason why I am going with John David Washington, and it was so hard for me to do this, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he goes by the character of a named Ricky Jared in the show Ballers, and on the very first episode of the show Ballers, he drops a line that says, "Why would I go to Jacksonville? That's where careers go to die." And if anybody knows, I'm like a Jaguar fan, and so that's why you have to understand that even I can set my differences apart here and say that he still was for me, he was the best artist of this film, and I'll explain why. First and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Denzel Washington is your father, and to me, from what I've seen, you're right up there with King Griffey Jr., right up there with like all the people who've had to, like Angela Jolie having to live up to John, but like just all the children that have had to live up to their parents, not just being superheroes, but like larger than life figures, and not just, it's like, okay, you grow up and your dad's you're on TV, it's like, oh yeah, great, but no, your dad's that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
He's like Jesus.
Yeah,
and he's having to live up to God.
No, he's not like Jesus. He is Jesus Shuttlesworth. We went over this. Come on, I'm going to get him there, guys. Don't worry. By the end of the season, he's going to know who Jesus Shuttlesworth is. But seriously, I have to give it to him because living under that pressure and knowing that you have to go out there every time, and it's not like I have to say it's not like he has the longest IMDb in the world. You know, he has some credits here and there, so you can't say his dad just been lofting him softball. So that's one thing, but that's just not enough. Let's talk about the film. Let's talk about the range of this young man. When I watched him, I didn't see Denzel one time. Did I feel swag? Yes. Did I feel confidence? Yes. Did I feel somebody that could articulate themselves? Yes. Did I see somebody that knew at every given moment they were comfortable in every given situation? That, you know what, matter of fact, I want to go back and change one of my best scenes. When that motherfucker leaves from the meeting with old girl and walks back through that restaurant and calmly beats their ass. That's the first time I've seen somebody calmly beat somebody's ass.
I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago.
And dropped some chicken Little George shit before he went in there like, hey, till you do right by me. So my point is this. The range, man, like he was just no moment was too big for him. You felt like he could you or deliver a baby at any given moment. And to me, that was one of the biggest things. And so one of the last things I want to say is that we talked about this earlier. I'm pretty sure he didn't know it at the time, but you're such an inspiration, unlike Terry Gilliam would want people to be inspiration to kids out there. So he was such an inspiration to find out like this is the biggest budgeted film to have an African American as a solo lead. It's just like, not to say, oh yeah, we can finally do it. It's just like, man, like, and you killed it. Like you killed it. So for me, man, I got to give it to you, man. Shout out, brother. Nothing but respect to you, man. I'll see you soon, coworker.
I agree with everything that you just said, and I'm glad that you said it. So I can still, I picked somebody else, but I'm glad that got out there because I agree with it. I wanted to say that, but I at the end of the day, everyone in this movie was pretty much great, with the exception of Michael Caine, because he wasn't bad. He was just Michael Caine.
Call me Michael. I'm sorry.
It felt effort. And when I found out later in doing the fact checking that, or the deep dive, that he didn't
got his
get
lines
his
like
till,
walking
right
into the
before.
studio.
But you can kind of see that. You can kind of see where he doesn't. His performance reflects it. He doesn't know where the context of where he fits into the context of everything in the story. And something about Michael Caine, it just felt effortless, but not in a good way, like a complacent kind of effortlessness. But John David Washington, like everything you said, I totally agree with. He is a quiet powerhouse. In a lot of ways, he reminds me of Chadwick Boseman in the way that he can portray so much power so subtly, and it still comes off. And that's something that I don't even think John David Washington's father can do. You might. Do you,
oh no, I'm not disagreeing.
Okay,
that's what makes it beautiful. I don't see either one of them being the same. It's like apple and orange. Like, no, you're just great. You would have been great regardless.
Yeah,
and I feel that. Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh, I hope I'm getting his name right. He was fantastic as Sator. The emotion that he brought to that villain, again, like our Black Panther episode, I think that he gave the villain like a real humanity. Even with this, like, this is a clear-cut, dry villain. This guy is terrible. He wants to destroy the whole world with him. So he is absolutely terrible. But Kenneth, the actor, brought a real sense of humanity to those emotions that the guy was going through.
I 100% agree. Can I give you a fun fact before you name the next person?
Yes.
Fun fact about him. You ever heard of this movie called Much Ado About Nothing?
I heard about it. I have not seen it.
Guess who he directed? Denzel Washington.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. He also directed...
I'm doing my little thing. Hold on.
I'm glad you stopped me. I wasn't sure about what I was about to say. But yeah, he was great. My number one pick goes to Robert Pattinson. Neil, his performance felt effortless not in the Michael Caine way, but in the good natural way, where he lights up the screen with like cool, dry charisma. Every time he comes onto the screen, it's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said about child actors in the last episode, or actors in general who get kind of pigeonholed into one particular character, he has so gracefully broke out of that, and he did it by, he didn't just jump from Edward to a $205 million movie. He did a lot of independent films that allowed him to explore different characters, and one of those independent films, I think it was called Good Times, Christopher Nolan saw, and that's what made him that's what made him consider him for the role in Tenet. Yeah, Robert. And what John David Washington had going against him for me in this is that I had less to compare him against, as like other things that he's been in. What put Robert Pattinson over the mark for me over John David Washington was that I was comparing him to who I've seen in Twilight, and that just blows me away how he went from that to what we see today and things like The Lighthouse and it actually makes me kind of excited for the Batman.
Definitely, I can agree with you as far as the reasons why you chose as well. Again, while we do have two totally different choices, I think neither one of us are wrong in this because again, they both like I say held their own in this, and like I say, anytime they were sharing screen together, I never felt like there was anyone leading anyone. It was you be great at what you at, and we'll do this dance, and I'll be great at what I'm at.
So at the end of this season, like we've mentioned, we'll be doing 13 episodes this season, 13 films, and each episode we'll be picking one actor at the end of this segment. At the end of the season, we'll take all 13 of those actors, put them up on the board, and remove them until only one remains the Best Actor of Season 1 award. So, who did we have? Who won? Refresh their memories for the Black Panther episode. It was your pick. Who won?
The young lady that played the character Okoye. That was my first pick, and yours?
My pick was Michael B. Jordan, and of course, yours won. So, this time around, we have John David Washington and Robert Pattinson head-to-head. Who is going on the board to go against Okoye at the end of the season? Should we leave? Can we agree that they are both equally great in this film and complement each other? With that, and in the spirit of Tenet, could we leave this up to a coin flip?
We can, because the coin is going to decide. So, hold on.
And I'm just going to let it land on the table.
You have a coin or a Pirate of the Caribbean shield? What is that?
It's a dime, a 10.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I see what you did there. All right, so who's the head, though? Who's the tail?
Well,
front and back.
Let's head John David Washington, tail
okay,
Robert Pattinson.
There we go.
All right, here we go.
Congratulations, Mr. Twilight Batman Robert Pattinson. You're on the board.
All right, that was easy. That was a lot better than what we got into in episode
You don't want to. You don't want to get into a Killmonger.
Check it out right here.
And you want? I was gonna say also make sure you can check out all our stuff. But if you're gonna check out our stuff, we'll tell you about it, so you don't have to look for it. All you got to do is hit subscribe.
That's the trailer.